Stop killing games. Chances are, if you're a gamer, you've heard this phrase repeated online over the last few months. Stop Killing Games is a European-based consumer movement aimed at challenging the legality of publishers destroying video games they've sold to customers. The goal of the initiative is aimed at forcing publishers to keep games in a playable state after online support ends. As you can imagine, due to developer pushback, the initiative has faced some rough waters over the last few months, but recently it hit 1 million signatures as players continue to fight for game preservation. However, despite the recent surge in support, the issue is far from settled, as things are about to get much more complicated. Hello fellow travelers, and welcome to the Hard Light Network. Considering the absolute state of online gaming over the last few years, you'd think an initiative like Stop Killing Games would receive near universal support from gamers everywhere. However, certain industry-adjacent actors like this gooberhead here have gone above and beyond to try and kill this initiative in the cradle. And because of this, ever since its launch in April of 2024, the initiative has seen nothing but an uphill battle. Only recently, the initiative cracked over 1 million signatures, but this development is not the victory that it seems on its surface. In today's video, guys, we're going to cover more of those details, but before we get into it, if you can do me a solid and hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future, and also take to the comments section down below with your thoughts on Stop Killing Games. Also, if you do want to support this channel further, there are super thanks and memberships options down below. Feel free to join today for access to exclusive content and perks that you can't get anywhere else. But without any further ado, let's get into today's video. Our most recent developments on the Stop Killing Games initiative come to us from IGN.com and an article entitled "Stop Killing Games Reaches 1 Million Signatures as Players Continue to Fight for Game Preservation." Quote, "The Stop Killing Games initiative has reached the crucial 1 million signatures milestone in its quest to preserve video games for decades to come. But its fight isn't over yet. The self-described consumer movement soared past the goal yesterday, July 3rd, cementing its status as an impressive petition in gaming history and a movement that has plenty of gas left in the tank. It's all in the name of protecting the video games players love, and even the ones they don't, as the industry steadily marches towards a digital future. Social media feeds have since filled with reactions from supporters praising an operation that could help save multiplayer and single-player games for future generations. While gamers take to the internet to celebrate, spokesperson and organizer Ross Scott says reaching 1 million signatures is good news, but far from a victory. Quote, "Okay, the breaking news. The European Citizens Initiative has crossed 1 million signatures, except it hasn't," Scott said in a video update, uploaded yesterday. "This is going to kill morale, but there are two things going on here. The first we knew was coming. Every time somebody makes a mistake when they sign the initiative, their signature gets invalidated. So that means we need more signatures to make up for everybody's mistakes. So yeah, that sucks. It's an important variable in the equation on the road to 1 million legitimate Stop Killing Games endorsements, and it's just one flaw to consider. The other involves reports Scott has received regarding fabricated signatures that could be artificially inflating the initiative's progress. Quote, "First off, I want to say that this is not a change.org petition," Scott adds. "This is a government process. Spoofing signatures on it is a crime. Please do not do this. They'll be checked later by the EU Commission, and my guess is the fake ones will get turned over to Europol or Interpol, and they'll follow up on this." To account for what could be a significant number of invalid Stop Killing Games signatures, the initiative has altered its ideal goal to be 1.4 million signatures. At the time of this story's publication, Stop Killing Games has reached 1.07 million endorsements ahead of its July 31st end date. "So yeah, that sucks," Scott continued. "We'll just keep plodding away unless we can figure out the safe numbers. Sorry this isn't a big victory celebration. This is just kind of suspenseful and tense instead. and will probably hurt the morale of people signing. Scott, who has created gaming content via his Accursed Farms YouTube channel for more than a decade, launched Stop Killing Games in April of 2024 as a direct response to Ubisoft's decision to shut down its popular open-world racing game, The Crew. The movement aims to create a ripple effect that could shake the industry into keeping games online long after players lose interest. It means everything from The Crew to Concord could theoretically remain online to enjoy should the initiative amass enough public complaints to see the European Commission pass a law protecting consumer rights. Ideally, players could see live service and multiplayer titles like BioWare's Anthem, which was given a shutdown schedule just yesterday, could continue on in some form should a publisher decide to sunset support. Success could also mean single-player games that rely on online components, such as Death Stranding or Dark Souls, could remain intact too. Stop Killing Games wants to save the art that developers pour their hearts into while protecting the consumers who prefer to access games they've already paid for, and it's a movement that hundreds of thousands of game players are already supporting, following its promising launch last year. However, the initiative struggled to maintain the support it needed to push its way through to the eyes that need to see it. Stop Killing Games' chances at a successful campaign became so dire that Scott went as far to publish a video titled "The End of Stop Killing Games" just last week. In the hour-long explainer piece, Scott listed a lack of exposure as one primary cause behind the lack of support. It was the Hail Mary that the initiative needed, though, as prominent YouTubers like Jacksepticeye, Moist Critical, Ludwig, and more were quick to voice their support with their own videos. All within the week since Scott shared his concerns, Stop Killing Games has gained hundreds of thousands of signatures, resulting in a solid chunk of the more than 1 million names attached to the movement today. Success remains uncertain even if Scott is able to reach that magic 1.4 million number, with even more uncertainty lying on the other side of that goalpost. Still, as outlined by Scott on the Stop Killing Games website, he feels optimistic about the future of game preservation if the signature goal is met. Quote, "If we pass the signature threshold," Scott says, "there is a very strong chance that the European Commission will pass new laws that will both protect consumer rights to retain video games that customers have purchased and advance preservation efforts massively. Should the word get out to enough interested individuals, players could see somewhat of a return to the days when buying a game came with the assurance that it would remain playable regardless of post-launch interference." And while that's going to do it for today's written article, guys, I've got a few more things I'd like to say about this topic. First and foremost, I'd like to say that, like many other people, I think it's incredibly unfortunate that gamers in America or Japan can't contribute to the effort here. If it were possible for me to add my name to the growing list of supporters for this initiative, I would do it without a second thought. Online-only live service titles have done irreparable damage to gaming culture, and this is the first concrete step we've seen to protect gamers' legal consumer rights. And despite the absolute room temperature IQ opinions of experts like Maldavius Fig Tree here, the initiative is actually good for developers as well. Imagine spending years on the production of a title, pouring in your time and life's blood to make a project work, only for it to be cancelled within months of its launch. All of that effort goes right into the trash along with the support of its customers, and I think that something needs to be done in order to prevent that. If the leaders of this industry aren't going to take real steps to preserve these titles and contribute to the games as art conversation, then I think they need to be forced to. I myself am a relic of this ancient past when buying video games was a permanent transaction, and I'm not willing to give it up anytime soon. For me and many others, this initiative is just the tip of the spearhead in creating a real conversation about games preservation. This is our first real opportunity to stick it to the corpo suits and take back the games industry for players. But that is going to do it for this video today, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched up to this point. If you can, do me a solid and hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content that I've got coming up for you guys in the future, and also take to the comment section down below with your thoughts on this issue. At the end of the day, there's simply no good reason why video games have to die on the vine. The failure of these live service projects is a feature and not a bug when it comes to these titles. The planned obsolescence of these games is nothing more than a money-making racket from these developers, and they've gotten away away with it for far too long. If developers want to continue to keep making money on games, we need to stop rewarding their bad behavior and put them in a position where they actually have to make good titles again. They've lived off the goodwill of gamers for far too long and cashed in the nostalgia ticket far too many times. But with that being said, my backlog is calling to me, so as always, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, and until next time, love you guys, safe travels.